tonight just a brief introduction about tatami and the history of it and some of the traditions and stuff like that. And also give you a little insight into how Japanese culture has remained the same for so long. This is an image of tatami, obviously, with the fusuma, but this is in Katsura Palace. So you can see there's no furniture, it's all partitioned. That's what, in an imperial place, that's what the rooms look like. So it's not highly adorned, there's not lots of artwork. This for Japan is beautiful. So the beauty is in the small detail. So tatami has been made the same since, well, this photo is the 1890s. This is the earliest photo that I could find. You can see that it's the same. It's made the same, the elements are the same. This here is the same as what Mitsuru uses. The first recorded talk of tatami in history was in the year 712. What used to happen is the omate was just folded into like cushions because people were living on the dirt, and then there became, and then it progressed a little bit further, and then mats were made, and it used to just be for the imperial people or noble people or samurai, and they would sit elevated on tatami while the rest of us would sit on the floor. And then after time, Japan opened up a little bit more to the west and also got a little bit more economically viable, and there was more equality. So you started to see tatami throughout houses. There's many sizes, but normally, which we have here, normally the most you see is the Kyoto size, which is this size, and the Kanto size, which is slightly smaller. In Japan, a room in a house, or when you buy a house or rent a house, normally the size is distinguished by how many tatami. So if you buy an apartment, it'll say 12 tatami, so you know it's 12 of these things. Which, it's small, but they still count each tatami. Yeah, so it has a very long history. So these are some old photos. The first one is the geisha in Kyoto. They're sitting on tatami, but they're just sitting on the omate. Still now, today in Kyoto, these platforms exist over the river, and the lighting is the same. The geisha look exactly the same, and you can see that's the 1890s. So it's still. If the photo was better quality, that could be now in Japan. The second image shows you, again, the tatami with the regular configuration like this style, but in the background you've got the kakijiku, which is the artwork, like this one over here. So normally in a Japanese space, that's the only kind of wall hanger. So they'll either be calligraphy or of like a saying or sutras, of the Buddhist sutras, or they'll be more floral, depends. Deciding on the kakijiku for your tatami room is a very delicate decision, because the idea in Japan is nothing should outshine anything else. So you don't want, say, for instance, now people buy big pieces of contemporary art, and that's the thing that you look at in the room. In Japan, you don't want to do that. You want everything to work in harmony. And the kakijiku is hung in the tokonoma. So this space here is called the tokonoma, which in English just translates to alcove. The tokonoma is always faced on the tatami, is always faced opposite the garden, and when you have a guest, the guest will be seated in front of the tokonoma, and that's Japanese culture, because you would think that you want the guests to see the beautiful artwork, but it's showing off. So you let them see the garden and you look at them with the artwork as they're the guests, they're the beautiful thing in your space. And you have the Yokihama, this is an early version of it, which is the flower arrangement. And again, all these things have very intricate rules and details, so everything has to work in harmony, everything changes seasonally, and everything's thought out. It looks very simplistic, but when you get involved in Japanese culture and design, it becomes very intricate. And as Mitsuru will tell you if you talk to him afterwards, all the rules for even for tatami and how you put it and how you have to walk, makes you crazy. This is another space, so these are the fusuma, and then behind is the shoji. Oh, sorry, back to this one. You see in a Japanese house, you go from tatami to the wood straight outside. That's a typical feature because the idea is that inside and outside are one and the same. You are connected to nature, nature's connected to you. It should be an easy transition, and that's the beauty. With the fusuma, like this, in this one, you've got the partitioning for each room, but all of those can be removed and then it becomes like a big banquet hall. So for this type style of room, they say that Japanese people, not so much now in modern times because everybody has TV, everybody has a computer, but Japanese families are so close because the fusuma, there's no privacy. So it's, you live together, and they're making tea here on the Zen. Same way they make tea then, it's the same as they make it now. So the Japanese aesthetic is, if you think about it, for me the easiest way to think about it is it's the exact opposite of the Western idea of aesthetics. So for Western people, the thought is we want to make everything neat and clean and remove all the grime and make it beautiful and perfect. Japan, the beauty is in the nuance and the grime, like leaving things slip and age and develop around you, so you become part of your scene. So this photo here, this is what I was saying about the transition, but everything ages together. Like you've got the old man, you've got the kakijiku, your ikebana, then the fusuma. And it's so picturesque because it's the same every time you see it. The concept behind the design of the home is so simple but so easy to live in. They're really nice spaces. So mono no aware is this idea that beauty is an awareness of the transience of all things and a gentle sadness at their passing. So, and if you're interested in Japanese aesthetics, this In Praise of Shadows book by Tanizaki is very, very interesting.
And we have it in Hebrew. No. Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, we have it.
Yeah, right.
There is an in.
It's very interesting. His insight into the different elements of and looking at the two cultures from an aesthetic point of view, very interesting. And I chose this photo by Kiko Takizawa. She's a Japanese photographer living in London. But in Japan, these concepts are just passed on to Japanese without them even knowing. So for concepts like this and also wabi-sabi, ask a Japanese person, what is that? They'll say, oh, I know what it is, but can't really give you a definition. And it's that ambiguity as well, that's what is special. Japanese people don't know why they do things the way they do them, it's just everybody does it. And that's just how it is, and they just accept that's how it is. So this Praise of Shadows, this photo, she didn't even think about it. I know this artist. she just took the image in her mother's house. But this dappling light and the shadows in the Japanese home is exactly what Tanizaki is talking about. That the beauty in a Japanese room is the dim light and then the playing of the shadows on the tatami and stuff like that. So he also talks about how when Western light pictures and electricity came to Japan, the dilemma of trying to put a light into a tatami room confused them so much because they want that darkness and to not be able to see the whole way and to integrate it without being hurt, like, wow, there's a light. So this type of thing is very important in the Japanese home. And then you have wabi-sabi, which we've already touched on, and the 7 principles of wabi-sabi in Zen philosophy. This image here is in a temple. The tatami here is very old. Would be over 20 years old, maybe more, depends. But the colour is true. It goes that beautiful, rich, golden colour, and depending on the quality, like this is really good quality, omate, but as it ages, it just becomes beautiful and the light catches it, and with the oils from your feet, it starts to get really shiny. And that's part of wabi-sabi, that you don't want to be updating your space all the time. You want to keep what you have, treat it really well for a long period of time. As you grow, it grows with you. It becomes something to you that's as important to you as anything else. So every element. With this here, this is a technique they do in Japan. If you break a bowl, you don't throw it away. You take it to this man, who's a craftsman, he has his own shop. They fill the cracks with gold. And then it's seen that is a much more beautiful object than it was originally. So you often go to people's houses and they'll serve you a chipped cup that has a piece of gold. And if you get that cup, it's phenomenal. It's a nice thing to see. They keep the details like this wooden part. This is in a friend's home. I took this photo. It's just, nobody goes, oh, you want to fix that, we should polish it up. The fusuma, when they do the painting, it ages, starts to fade. It's repaired in the sense of, because it's a temple keeping it nice, but it's never retouched. There's never an artist comes in and goes, this is a historic piece of art, let's repaint it. They just leave it. And that's why we stop. And even with this outside, it's a philosophy, and also it's really connected to your own mortality. So if you just think about anything that you have, it's part of you, and together you become something. It's a beautiful thing. So with the Japanese tatami, this is an Igusa field. So what the top layer is made out of. This grows, so regular rice is normally like this high. They grow this specially really high. Depending on the quality of the omate, is how long one strand will be. So this, for this one, that's one strand of rice. It's amazing. It's the farming and the practices of generations and generations, and they're not so much interested in making money. It's more keeping the family name. So if my great-great-grandfather was an Igusa farmer, it would put a lot of shame on my family if I decided I wanted to be a lawyer. I shouldn't stay and keep the family. The Japanese tatami has won a lot of, they've been given a lot of credit for as an ecological building material. It's obviously versatile and stylish and everything, but it has the IEQ rating, so it's proven that it increases the indoor air quality. So it's fantastic for people with any allergies. It also, what it does as well is in a climate like this, if you have the natural base, like this one and this one, it absorbs the moisture when it's humid, and then when it's dry, it releases it. So that's the other reason in Japanese home it's so popular, because it's climate controlling your space without doing anything. So it's really nice. It's great for sound insulation as well. And this is some modern ideas. When people think about tatami, they generally think like a configuration like this, and also having to pick like an edge. There's many options. This style here, this is Okinawa style, so an island south of Japan. So it's a half size with no edges. You can make it with the regular omate, or there's another omate that's a bit thicker, it looks a little bit different. But this is nice if you're building a house and you get an opportunity and you really want tatami, to think about just recessing it into the floor, so you don't have to have it in an entire space. Also, if you have a small space in your home that you can't really use, tatami is a great option for small spaces. This one here is the traditional configuration, but with the shoji, which is this screen, and also the modern take on Fusuma, it's very, very contemporary space. It's still with that Japanese aesthetic. So here as well, this is the half tatami. And then the last picture is they've just elevated a small space with 3 tatami in their regular house. So it's obviously a sitting area. So these are good if you have money and you have the option to build something. If not, for Israel and other countries, the next option is a very good idea. We can do frames. So Lorraine and I can help you with frames. They come in different sizes. The reason that this is good is because normally for tatami to have it perfect and have it how you want it, is you need to measure it a lot. And it's very time consuming, costs a lot of money. With this, if you have a space, you have tiles or wooden floor, you can get the frame, put it, and you just buy the regular size and place it in an area. It looks really nice because you can still have, your elements in the home, but a small table and then serving time and enjoy tatami and pack it up and store it if you need to do that. And just some tips for caring for tatami. If you look after it, it can last for over 25 years. So it is, people think, oh, it's a natural product, it's not going to last, like tiles are better or whatever. But yeah, it lasts for a long time. It's a beautiful golden colour, it evolves. Don't wear shoes, of course, not only for damaging it, but you don't want to ingrain any dirt, so it's better to be clean. And no dragging furniture. Even light furniture drags will sometimes fray the omate, and then once it frays, it's normally it's okay, you can spray a little bit of water and maybe fix it a bit, but it obviously becomes a weak point. When you vacuum along the mountains. So you've got the roof, so you go this way and so you're purifying the air. And spills. People often, a misnomer about tatami is, I don't want it because if I spill something on it, it's going to be terrible, it's ruined, I don't want it. It's not true. You can spill, which I have, red wine and hot chocolate on it. If you get it, you don't want to leave it overnight. But because it's natural and it's woven so tightly, it doesn't absorb. When you clean, this way, and you soak it up, and then for most things you can just remove it with water. You don't want to spray things on tatami because you might just follow a bit and then I suppose you could think about it like wabi-sabi if you did that, but it's better to not. And never place anything directly on tatami like a mattress for a long period of time. If you've got like a stand, it's fine. It'll get mold because as I said, it absorbs the moisture and then mold is what will wreck it. And now Mitsuru is going to do the demonstration for you, and his shop is a 4th generation business in Kyoto, and this is the 4th generation, and this is the 3rd generation Tasha, and Tasha is nearly 80, and he still works in the shop, which is a typical thing for an old man in Japan. Anyway, keep going, doing so. And I just wanted to say, for Mitsuru and I, it's an absolute pleasure to be in Israel and talking to you guys about tatami and showing you and being here with Lorraine and Maya and starting a collaboration, which is, for me, is just great, like to do something cool in Israel and for them to be coming to Japan is what I'm going for. Thanks for having us. And Mitsuru will begin.
מאיה, את מדליקה את האורות? אורות?